Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back, it's Maverick here with another episode of Code Geass. So, in this episode we continue the confrontation between the Britannia forces versus the Black Knights, and of course the Japanese Liberation Front as well. It seems that Lelouch has got Cornalia into a bind, right? However, obviously Suzaku is still lying in wait. He adds an entirely new dimension to this entire thing. Not to mention the Japanese Liberation Front leader is also coming back as well. I believe he's called Toto or something like that. I honestly can't remember quite well. So yeah, I mean, I think that much is obvious, but what is not obvious is how this situation is going to resolve itself, right? There's various different ways that it could go. Cornelia might escape due to the intervention of Suzaku and maybe the intervention of the Japanese Liberation Front as well. Maybe they weren't, because they aren't doing things according to Lelouch's plan, they might mess up his plans or something like that. Or, Lelouch could actually just kill Cornelia right here and now, right? Even with all the other factors I mentioned, which would probably solidify Suzaku's and Yuffie's hatred for Zero, for the Black Knights. But, how exactly it goes, we'll just have to see within the episode. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh. Narita. So near the Narita airport, I guess? Okay. So a lot of the Japanese liberation forces were killed as well? Well, thank you for recapping the episode for me, man. Lady? Announcer? Okay. So is this telling us that it's gonna end in Lelouch's defeat? Well, maybe not quite defeat, but not quite exactly go to his plan in any case. That's mom, that's sister, that's him. You got some pretty good balance, Lelouch. Oh, and then I guess, who knows? Maybe Jeremiah survived the ordeal. I guess he is kind of also a recurring character as well, right? I think he might be dead, but who knows? Alright. Battle for Narita. Damn. He only cares about gathering data. Oh. They're not gonna eject? Well, sucks to be you. Nope. Hmm. Oh, is this, yeah. This is Turdo? Yep, like I said, this is probably unexpected for Lelouch. And then, of course, they gotta use the melee weapons, right? Denka. Is it correct to call the general a Denka? Typically only use that word for royalty. Oh, he's gonna use the chance. Oh yeah, Toto. I guess maybe they said his identity before. Although I always assumed that he was just part of the army or something. But since they call him Your Highness, perhaps he's of the royal family. You guys aren't making any sense. Like, on one hand, you're saying you guys aren't making any sense, right? On one hand, you're saying you guys want all the glory, and then on the other hand, you're saying, what can you guys do? Like, those two actually conflict with each other, you imbeciles? Yeah, he's the colonel. So why can't they mass produce these Lancelots? I kind of agree with him, though. Ah, but he's a main character. Yeah. Oof. Who the hell talks about shooting from behind in a war? Yeah, so it's the Lancelot gonna come save the day. Oh, there he is. That's something. Oof. Oh, you can still fight? Oh, actually do... never mind. Yeah. They actually don't know it's him. Oof. Oh. Lost your footing. Oh. About that. Hmm. Ooh. So how's he gonna get out of this one? Oh. C2. Well. The fuck? Oh, so that's the meaning of that scenario. Who the hell are you? Oh. Is it like showing their worst fears? Yeah, their worst fears or something like that? Oh. That was a bad idea. So what's your worst fear? What? Oh wait, it's C2? Oh. Huh? What the hell is happening right now? Oh. What the? I mean, if they already know this is where the rebel forces are hanging out, couldn't they siege it? A very rational thinker. Huh? So she can't die? So what's her name? Yes, please do. Oh, they never... God damn it. God damn it! Is it gonna remain a mystery forever? Okay. Oh. You're still alive? Are you flirting with her? And is Callan getting jealous? Alright, never mind. Okay, this was quite a confusing episode with all things considered. I'll take a look at it once again. See you guys after this. Okay, a lot of things happened in this episode, and most of which probably we can't really get into too much yet. Definitely the entire development with C2 and all that is probably the most, the biggest focal point of this episode. I mentioned, I think a whiles back in earlier episodes, that I feel like this series, even with this sort of mind control abilities, it seems to be sort of kind of rooted in science, right? With Lelouch doing these various testing to test the extent of the powers and whatnot, and coming from the perspective that C2 was released from a laboratory where they were doing experiments and whatnot, I thought this was more of a scientific kind of development. But apparently, we are entering into the more fantasy or magical realm here, right? Because we can, it's not entirely clear, but from the various fragments that we can see, it actually reminds me a lot of video games developed by David Cage, right? Like stuff like Fahrenheit or Detroit Become Human, that kind of sort of thing, where suddenly, everything turns on its head and things get really, really crazy really fast, right? So, even though there's still way too little information right now, I think we can infer a few things, right? We can infer that C2, or at least her abilities, or the various personas of her, if you want to call it that, have existed throughout human history, right? It's not that she was just of the modern age or whatnot. She or some iterative of her existed in various different ages. Now, you might say that perhaps there's a cult centered around this, or maybe it's just one person or something like that, and maybe the ability keeps getting passed down generation after generation after generation, or so on and so forth. Or hey, maybe she herself is immortal and she just has a cult that's worshipping her, right? Something of that sort, right? But it's definitely more of a cultist or a fantasy magical kind of thing. That's the vibe I'm getting right now. So we'll have to see in the future how exactly this plays out, right? But that's just my initial guess for now. And then in this episode, we also get the not only do we have her flashbacks, we also get Suzaku's flashbacks, or no, actually I shouldn't really say flashbacks, right? My initial thinking was that that's probably some sort of ability that forces people to confront their deepest fears, their deepest regrets, or anyway, something that will drive them crazy, or drive them mad, right? So in Suzaku's case, it was his father. Now I'm assuming it's one of two things. It's one, he wasn't able to save his father. He wasn't able to save his family while the Britannians attacked. Maybe his father died while trying to defend, or something like that. Actually, have they mentioned that before in the first episode? I'm sorry, if they did, then I actually already forgot. But that's one thing. Or maybe he's getting really agitated because he's now joining the Britannian forces, right? Even though they should be his mortal enemies, but Suzaku simply has a different path that he wants to walk. But at the same time, if he does get confronted, especially by someone as close as his father, he is still going to really he's still going to be trembling from the consequences of his actions, or what. Well, actually, I really shouldn't put it that way, but you guys know what I mean. He's already been called a traitor long enough. It doesn't really help if the person calling him that is his own father, right? Now, and one thing I was disappointed by is that we didn't get to see Lelouch's greatest or deepest fears or something of that sort, right? So, just simply reliving the memory. I mean, I can kind of a pretty good guess and say that probably has to do with his mom being killed and his sister being nearly being blinded. But what exactly, like, what angle is he going to look at it from? Is it from the point of view where he thinks he could have done something at that point, or is it going to come from a point of view where we get into the situation where why haven't you killed the emperor yet? Why haven't you overthrown Britannia yet? How can you let my death be in vain, or something of that sort, right? Something dramatic and hysterical like that. But who knows, right? Maybe it's going to be something else entirely. So we got that entire C2 situation there, which, again, we'll probably learn more about in the future. And is that some little romance we're seeing between Lelouch and C2? I guess it was bound to happen at some point, but, those parting words, I'm sure that was a sort of response or answer to what C2 asked of Lelouch in the last episode, right? But still, at that position, at that point, saying, I don't dislike this and whatnot, it's really making Lelouch seem more like a tsundere with his feelings towards C2 or something of that sort. However slight they may be. And then with Callan being there, is that some jealousy I feel from her? Which is definitely really funny to me, because we had this situation with Zero and C2 and Callan, but then his actual identity, Lelouch, we got that situation with Shirley and Callan and so on and so forth as well, right? But anyways, putting all that aside, what else is interesting from this episode, right? The Toto guy, right? Again, I don't think it was specifically mentioned before. I think they did mention that he was a colonel, but considering the fact that other people are calling him Your Highness and so on and so forth, Denka, which is generally only reserved for people of, nobility or royalty. And for Japan's case, I would say it's probably royalty. So he's from the imperial family, I'm guessing. They are a constitutional monarchy after all. So we can say that this Toto guy might be like the former prince of of Japan, whereas Suzaku is the son of the former prime minister of Japan. That kind of relationship here, which I guess kind of adds another angle to everything, but in the grand scheme of things, I guess it doesn't really matter that much. What's probably going to affect the story a lot more is the fact that Todo seems to trust Zero and seems to trust what he's doing or his character and so on and so forth, which is quite differently from how I originally expected their situation to be, but hey, who knows. Apparently, they are going to be able to join forces and work together. Although whether Lelouch wants that or not, hard to say. He'll definitely appreciate the addition of some more pawns or shields to use, right? But again, and that's just speculation from my part. What else? There was also something I wanted to mention, which is Cornalia, right? And how Cornalia is going to respond to this current situation. So, if in the past few episodes, when the Black Knights showed up and you said, hey, they're just keeping the peace, they're just standing on the side of the weak and defenseless and powerless and whatnot, I think that's still, even though it is kind of on a shaky foundation and whatnot, you can still kind of make it work, right? And for Britannians as well, you can still kind of convince yourself and all that. But now that Lelouch has actively intervened in the battle between the Britannia and the Japanese Liberation Forces, and it's not like some rogue elements or whatnot. That's literally their HQ, their main base, and so on and so forth. I do wonder, right? This is definitely something where you can't really play dumb anymore, right? You are actively helping the resistance elements within an occupied country. It's time to declare the Black Knights as resistance forces as well. And so how exactly is Cornelia going to handle the situation, right? The logical thing would be to also ask for reinforcements and backup, because taking on the Japanese Liberation Forces is one thing, having the Black Knights as well, and having this sort of power balance, you need to break it somehow, right? With that being said, Cornelia is a pretty proud girl, right? So she definitely isn't the type of person who wants to ask for backup. Not to mention, considering the entire political, the grand political game that they're probably playing on the global scale within the Britannian Empire, probably it doesn't really help in Cornelia's interest if she does ask for help from the main Britannian forces either, right? So she's kind of in a catch-22 situation here. Obviously, some other kind of methods would be to try and infiltrate within the Black Knights or the Japanese Liberation Forces or something of that sort, but I don't know, maybe she doesn't really consider these kinds of tactics, right? Because they're too underneath them, or underneath the Britannian way of life or something of that sort. But hey, that's just some food for thought here. And that pretty much ends this, right? So, starting from next episode, again, on the same closing thought, probably the most interesting thing to me would be how Cornelia treats this new situation, this new power balance here. What exactly is the relationship going to be between the Japanese Liberation Forces and the Black Knights? And then, yeah, I think that's pretty much all that I can say for now. We definitely need to see the next episode to see how this shakes some things up, and then see the new power balance at that point. Obviously we got that entire development with Suzaku as well. Jeremiah also survived, and there seems to be there's probably some plot going on with the Britannian researchers, the guys driving the trucks that stopped in front of Jeremiah, and so on and so forth. But that's for another episode. Anyways, that's it for episode 11 of Code Geass. Hopefully I didn't miss anything, but if I did, do feel free to point them out below. And there we go. I will see you guys next week as well. Have a great New Year's, guys, and bye-bye.